Hey sports fans, this is Lily King. Make sure you tune into Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
And welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We appreciate you taking Indiana Sports Beat along for the ride. And we're grateful to have Mr. Eric Gordon Sr. back with us again on the program. We've had him on before and look forward to talking to him again always. One of the first families of Indiana basketball. Mr. Gordon, thanks a lot for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. Greatly appreciate it. Always enjoy my time on the air with you.
You know, I mentioned that you guys are one of the first families of Indiana basketball, and that's true. There's not a lot of families that can lay that claim, but you guys are. There's the Blackmans and the Zellers and the Gordons are three of the biggest known names in Indiana basketball. That's got to be cool just to know that, because we're talking one of the most historical things about the state of Indiana.
Well, you know, we love basketball. We love all of our universities here in Indiana. Some people favor one university or the other. We just love them all. We support all the schools from Valpo to IU to Purdue, Notre Dame, Evansville, Ball State, all of them. So we've got kids that have been through our program that have been to each one of those schools. And so we support them, we love them, and we love our basketball.
And being a part of one of the great families of the state of Indiana basketball history, that's a great legacy already left. But you guys are doing so much more to add to that, all of you. I mean, you're involved with the AAU aspects of it. You work out with kids. Of course, your son currently in the NBA, Eric, in the NBA now. But you guys do so much to continue that. And you don't have to do that. You guys could just rest on your laurels and do whatever you want to do, but you've actively chosen to remain a part of the state's basketball legacy and to grow that.
Well, when Eric was growing up, he, was always a pretty good ball player, and then as he reached the NBA, we wanted to give back and start his AAU program. Then as that took place, we wanted to also, I retired from pharmaceuticals, and as we wanted to continue staying in the game of basketball, I started my basketball academy. And then that's actually really grown and developed into something really special for a lot of kids in Indiana, E3 Basketball Academy. And so now what we've done is we've expanded that. My middle son, Evan, he played over in China a couple of years. Right now he's still over there, and he has a basketball academy as well. And then my youngest son, Aaron, was a Seton Hall, but he came home. He's playing at Valpo. And so what we've wanted to do is just make sure that we stay in the game of basketball. Every day, again, as you mention, I train probably 30, 40 kids each day. Probably for a week, we may train anywhere from 100 to 200 kids throughout the week. We have the AAU, we have club teams, we've got training that we do. We do sports performance training. And I did it because I just wanted to stay in the game. I love the game of basketball. It's done so much for me as a person. Team sports, organized sports, I think are good for student athletes, whether you become an NBA player or just to be able to learn that, as you grow up as a young man or a young lady, that you have to be able to work with others. So as they develop and get jobs out in the community, that they're good citizens, they're good role models, and they learn at an early age how to interact and work with others.
Talking to Eric Gordon Sr., and I was talking about, I mentioned earlier about the AAU aspect of all the things you do, and you talked about the academies and whatnot. That gives so many kids opportunities that they probably just absolutely wouldn't get. Your sons grew up, fortunately, with you, having you as a father, so that was a great start that they're going to get. Everybody doesn't have that chance. And talk about the kids that come through there that you can see, that are getting an opportunity that they wouldn't have gotten elsewhere, and that's got to be special for you in itself. But I know you care more about the kids than what it means to you.
Yeah, well, we do many things with the kids. We help them stay focused on their academics. We help them ensure that they qualify for the NCAA and the NCAA clearinghouse. We even counsel young kids when they're in middle school. And matter of fact, here's a great example. I've got one. I got several families like this. If they have an issue with their kids, they come to me and ask me, "Hey, can you talk to my son?" Or I'll have where the athlete says, "Well, hey, can you talk to my mom or dad about this?" We've had one student athlete last year that didn't want to play high school basketball. I guess he, for whatever reason, decided, I don't want to play anymore. I sat down with him, met him over at Starbucks near his high school after school. We sat there and talked for an hour, tried to get a good understanding of why he no longer wanted to play. And come find out, he just wanted to start pursuing what he wanted to do in college. So we talked about it further. Kid ended up playing on his high school team, averaged 18 points a game, made several all-conference teams, went on to college, good student athlete, and he made this coming year walk on to his college basketball team. So for us, it's just really good to help kids at a young age and help them mature to be good citizens.
Could you have ever imagined having such a rewarding career after you retired from your original profession?
No, I have people that I run across all the time, and I did real well in pharmaceuticals, very successful in that industry. And I run across people all the time and say, hey, do you miss it? Do you miss it? I said, no, I got the best job right now in the world, and that's helping mold young student athletes and helping them reach their potential and helping families help their student athlete reach their potential. So there's nothing better.
And I don't know if there's any better time in the world for people like you to be out there, because the climate in college basketball, college athletics period, but college basketball right now is not its best, obviously. And there are people being preyed upon. There are people preying upon kids, preying upon their families, and especially lower income families. This is probably the best thing that can ever happen until all these kids are involved with you and other programs like it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good quality programs across the state of Indiana and across the country. There's a lot. I could name several. But what we try and do is do everything the same way I have done with my three sons and share sort of the roadmap that we've done and share some of the successes. I have parents all the time. How did you do this? How did you work on recruiting? How did you work with your coach? How did you work with your high school coaches? What do you think we should do here, there? And I just basically am a sounding board to help parents that haven't done it before. And since I have three sons that all played at a high level, I try and make sure that I give them a sounding board and I give them some suggestions and direction to help their kids be successful as well.
I'm talking to Eric Gordon Sr., obviously three sons that have been very successful in basketball. Eric Jr. played at Indiana and currently playing for the Houston Rockets as well. But I mentioned the changes in college basketball, and they have been, I don't know if they're changes. It's just they've become more known. So many people that are like preying upon kids like I talked about through the AAU circuits. And there's been a lot of changes by the NCAA. Are those changes, do you think that's going to help alleviate the problems at hand?
No, I don't think that's going to help alleviate the problem. I think there's several different layers there when it comes to some of the issues and problems. But what I do think the best thing to do is I think it is fair for students to have a stipend to help them pay for cell phones, help them to travel back and forth home. I think a stipend would really help because, you know, here I am. I mean, I'm able to help my son, but all parents, you know, my son that's at Valpo, but all parents aren't able to say, okay, you want to come home this weekend? Let's figure out a way for you to get home. I mean, I'm able to help mine, but I don't know if everyone is able to do that in certain situations. So I think, you know, the stipend is good. I'm not saying a salary or anything like that, but I do think having a something that's realistic for the size of the university and for the money that the university brings in for the scholarship to help the student be able to live a normal life, although it's never going to be normal because you're, you know, playing a full-time sport. But I do think those things are helpful. There's no way that I think all the bad stuff that happens can really get cleaned up because there's different layers. There's AU programs, there's agents, there's AU directors that just don't do things the right way. And I think the most important thing is information. We should just teach parents how to make sure that they let the kid, if the kid is really good, he's going to get to wherever they expect him to go. There's no need to take any additional handouts or any of that kind of stuff. Just let the kid be as good as they can be. But the first and foremost thing is get that education. Focus on the education first.
And I know that the NCAA probably has the student athlete's best interest at heart. It doesn't always seem that way, but it also seems like a lot of the times the people that are making the decision are not, let's say, intellectually bound they don't seem to have the education in it from the grassroots like someone like yourself who absolutely has the best interest involved. And they don't seem to rely on people like you or groups like yours that could probably give them some great leadership. Do you think that the NCAA should reach down to people who have shown that this is what they do and do very well?
I think that would be a helpful opportunity for them to take advantage of the people that are already out in the field doing things. I know they say they do, or they say they want to, but I just I know what we do each year is in the month of July we meet at the Ronald McDonald House as an organization, and we have a community service day where we work at the Ronald McDonald House, clean up, and we have several speakers. We clean the place up, we feed the families, and we have several speakers. We have my pastor, he comes and speaks. We have a speaker to come and talk about academics. And then we have the NCAA come in and talk about the clearinghouse and academics. And I think those are opportunities where everyone can reach out and ask certain questions and then get feedback from AAU directors as to what's going on, how things can be better. I think what ends up happening is we have someone in the ivory tower looking down, making suggestions or calls on what's going on, but they've not been at the grassroots. They're not in the grassroots. They're not in the trenches, and they may not know everything that goes on. And I think that might be the biggest opportunity for them.
Absolutely. Talking to Eric Gordon Sr., EG10 Academy, actually. What is the actual official name of the academy?
Okay, so the academy is called E3 Basketball Academy. It's named after Eric, Evan, and Aaron. Aaron's name starts with the E, so it's all three E's, L3 Boys, E3 Basketball Academy. But we have EG10 Basketball Club, and that's our elite basketball program.
And they are elite, trust me on that. And we're talking about the NCAA, and I'm not going to pin you down to talk about specifics because of your involvement with so many schools and whatnot. But when there are certain schools where, and here of recent we've seen where certain coaches were just basically caught red-handed, but yet they're still in the place of the position of coaching at the same place because of legalities right now. And I think that's horrible for basketball, for college basketball, and for basketball in general. But I think it's also not good for students that they're still trying to recruit to come down here and play for them when they've been shown to do things not exactly the right way.
Yeah, my biggest thing that I believe in is I know that the transfer rule has gotten to be larger than we really want it to be, and we want to tell kids to stick to your guns and stay at that school. But when certain situations occur at a school or continuously at a school, or us as adults can leave our job, go someplace else, we can do things that may not be in the kid's best interest, but we're still fine. I find that contradictory. So I think the most important thing should always be the student first. And if the student isn't getting what they need at that particular school, then they should be able to transfer, which we're doing now. And that's why I think the transfer rule is up so high. But see, as a college coach, if I don't like this, or I get something better, or if I think I can do this thing this way, I can get this kid and go behind back doors and do it, that seems to be a little bit okay. But for the kid, it seems to be a terrible thing. So I think if we just focus on the kids and make sure kids first, and we're looking out for them and their education and their future, I think everything will fall into place.
Talking with Mr. Eric Gordon Sr. Appreciate him joining us as always. Let's talk about some fun stuff now. The NBA playoffs underway. Eric Gordon and the Houston Rockets moved on to in this next level of the playoffs right now. He's been playing pretty well.
Yeah, he's been playing pretty well. I think the second half of the season he's been doing real well. I think he's healthy. I think he's shooting the ball well. He's defending real well, and I think he just wants to ensure he helps his team as much as possible so they can advance and go as far as they possibly can.
And, we talked about you guys helping all these kids out the way you do. How much of a benefit is it to having someone like your son, Eric, playing at the level he does, but also the way he lives, but being in the NBA, and those guys, they have to look up to him as great inspiration, the kids that you have in your clinic and your academies.
Oh, they sure do. They love him to death. They support him. And I think when you look at all the kids in my program, whether it be E3 Basketball Academy or EG10 Basketball Club, they're similar of a mirror to him and how he does things. Most of our kids are, they're very good kids. They're good students. They work hard. I don't see very many of our kids getting in any kind of trouble. They're great athletes. And so they kind of mirror. It's kind of odd. I didn't really pick certain kids, but it seems to me that those kids gravitated to our program because they like what Eric represented. And that goes from the academy all the way to the EG10 Basketball Club.
EG3 Academy coming. You guys anything coming up that you want to talk about? Tell the people about that. There's things the kids can participate in.
Yeah, well, we're in the gym every day, Monday through Thursday, 6 p.m. We're usually at Park Tudor School. We have a good group workout, 6 to 7. On Saturdays, it's 8:30 to 10:30 a.m. Again at Park Tudor. The biggest thing we got going on coming up soon is we're going to have our tournament. EG10 is going to be called the EG10 Classic, and that's going to be May 10th through 12th, and we'll be at North Central Park Tudor. We'll be on the north side of town. We'll be also at the Sports Zone. Great opportunity to come out and see some great talent coming in from state and within state. And so we're just looking forward to hosting our first tournament.
Mr. Gordon, I can't thank you enough. Make sure you check out the EG10 Classic, May 10 through 12, Park Tudor, North Central. I can't thank you enough for joining us. We always appreciate it so greatly and look forward to doing it again.
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Have a great day. Hey, thanks for listening to the rebroadcast from today's edition of Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle, the only daily show dedicated to Indiana University athletics. You can catch us live each weekday on IndianaSportsBeat.com, TheDailyHoosier.com, GruelingTruth.com, or go to Spreaker.com for live notifications. Yeah, that's Speaker with an R, SPREAKER.com. You can also catch the entire show any place you listen to a podcast, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Play, etc. You can find and follow the show on Facebook or follow me on Twitter at Jim Coyle ISB for complete coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers. Thanks again. I hope you have a great day. I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on the radio.